What's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown, and I'm back here with another video. Now, as always, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment if you like, and I'll happily get back to you. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking. You're probably thinking, how comes he's doing his video via StreamYard today? I'll be honest, man. This new job that I've got at the moment, it's really hectic. It's actually getting on top of me. So, for the near future at least, in order for me to continue to do videos, I may have to do it via StreamYard like this because I'm not really going to have enough time to actually get in front of a camera and do videos as I might have done before. So at the end of the day, I know it's important to get the content out. So as long as the content is out, then I'm sure that that will be a consolation at least. So yeah, let me know your feedback about it. I did catch some of you guys' feedback with regards to the podcast as well. I want to touch on that briefly. I understand that there has been some, issues with regards to watching it. Maybe you guys are not being able to view it properly. It keeps pausing. I've raised this with StreamYard, and I've noticed it during the show as well sometimes where I'm recording and it literally like pauses or freezes. So I'm not sure why, because the Wi-Fi where I'm at is strong. So I've raised it with them. Hopefully that will be sorted out before the next show. But if it continues to persist, just let me know, and I'll get to the bottom of it somehow. But thank you for your patience anyway. Let's get on to today's topic, man. I wanted to touch on this here. The pound for pound list. Now, very subjective, as we know. Hardly anyone will have the same list as each other. There will always be some sort of difference somewhere. It's all down to opinions. And my pound for pound list, I refrained from doing this for quite a while because, I don't really like doing them, man. Everybody's got their own pound for pound list. They have their own criteria as to where you should rank fighters. And I've got mine. Do you know what I mean? So by no means at all is this the be all and end all and how a pound for pound list should look like. This is just my own one. And I thought, you know what, I've been asked to do it a couple of times now. So let's just get it out there. It's not that deep before anybody gets into it. It's not that serious. No one should really, be too get too upset over who's where or anything like that. It's all down to opinions. And even when I saw Errol Spence's tweet the other day, he was saying that put Charlo on the list, take me out of it. I don't even care. So some fighters do care. Some fighters really do care about the list. Other fighters are, pretty blasé about it. So for me, yeah, just keep that in mind. It is all subjective. It's all down to opinion. My pound for pound list, how I, produce my list and how I come up with the rankings, I put it down to a few things. One of them is who looks the more unbeatable in terms of who is on the eye. So let's just say the eye test. The eye test is important for me. Resume is important for me. Heavyweights was something that I didn't really like to include on the pound for pound list. That's another subjective matter. Some people like to include them, some people don't. I remember going back in the day when pound for pound list was first created. It was first created because it gave fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson the chance to shine. When back in the day everybody was talking about the heavyweights. So I believe that the pound for pound list was created back then to kind of like give the lighter fighters, in terms of lighter weights, I mean, their time to shine. So yeah, it's all down to you, really. There is a heavyweight on my list, at least. I think you guys are going to know who that is. But yeah, I've always kind of refrained from doing it. But this particular heavyweight campaign did not start off as a heavyweight. He campaigned at a lower weight before that, before moving up. But yeah, it's down to you guys, man. It really is subjective. So let me get onto the pound for pound list, man, and give you guys my top 10. Right, now take it easy on me, and let me know also when I've got mine out there. I want to see what your pound for pound lists are looking like. So anybody that's having a look at this video, drop your pound for pound list in the comments. I will have a look at it and I will check it out and I will comment on it as well. So let's get straight to mine, man. Number 10 on my pound for pound list. Here we go. Let me get my screen up, share that so you guys can see the picture. So I'm going to get a picture of each fighter and I'm going to show you guys who it is. So number 10 is none other than Dmitry Bivol. For me, Dmitry Bivol is my pound for pound number 10. After that win over Canelo Alvarez, I mean, it's hard not to have him in there. Canelo Alvarez was many people's number one pound for pound. When I look at Dmitry Bivol's professional record, obviously the Canelo Alvarez win stands out by far, but he has been a WBA light heavyweight champion for the last few years. I mean, he had that belt from all the way back in 2017. He's still holding that belt now. Hasn't been as active as we would have liked to have seen him, but we know what he's got. The ability, the jab, He's a fantastic technical boxer. He was a fantastic amateur, and he's been unbeaten in the pros so far, 20-0. He's got 11 knockouts. You know, not the most power, but a very technical, very proficient, efficient boxer. We saw that against Canelo Alvarez, man. And people are going to reference the size. They're going to say, "Oh, well, Bivol is the naturally bigger man." He is, but he could drop down to super middleweight, so he's not the biggest light heavyweight in the world. And let's not forget that Canelo Alvarez did campaign at light heavyweight before that. So listen, man, let's give Bivol his flowers, man. He beat Canelo, and he won that fight 9 rounds to 3, in my opinion. So Dmitry Bivol is number 10 for me. The number 2 ranked light heavyweight in the world for me. I think that Beterbiev is just ahead of him in terms of what he's done at the weight. But listen, if them two were to fight, it's a real pick'em as to who wins it. Do you know what I mean? It's not cut and throat as to, it's not a clear cut winner there. Beterbiev has got a fight of his own. He's going to be fighting Joe Smith Jr. soon. But for me, yeah, I'd have Dmitry Bivol in at number 10, just for that great performance that he had over Canelo Alvarez, who was many people's pound for pound number 1, let's not forget. So I think that he deserves an entry in the pound for pound list somehow. He's going to need to do a bit more, though, to rise up my rankings, because resume does play a part in it as well. And, you know, the only other standout win on Dmitry Bivol's record, you could say, is probably Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. back then, that was back in 2019. He's improved since then. He's got a win over Craig Richards. That was a decision win over John Pascal, knocked out Sullivan Barrera. But yeah, they're not there. None of them are really world class. I mean, Canelo is the world class fighter on there, of course, and Dmitry Bivol got a standout victory over him. And you feel that there is more to come should he get the opportunity. So I've got Dmitry Bivol there at number 10 on my pound for pound rankings. I think that he's a quality fighter, and I think there's more to come from him. If Canelo is to take that rematch with him, then I'd pick Bivol to win that fight again. They're talking about it maybe being at super middleweight, but wherever it is, I think that Bivol could just have Canelo's number. Canelo didn't know what to do with him, and I think bringing him down a weight would be the only way to beat him, but I wouldn't even be sure of that, if I'm being honest with you. So Dmitry Bivol is my number 10 pound for pound. Let's move on to my number 9 in the pound for pound list. This guy, man, a fantastic fighter. Love watching him. Let me get him up here on the screen for you guys to see. Let me bring him up right here. Number 9. Artur Beterbiev. Artur Beterbiev, man. This guy, I love watching him fight, first of all. I love watching Artur Beterbiev fight. You know, he's the number 1 ranked light heavyweight in the world for me. He's you know, a fantastic fighter in terms of, like, got the fundamentals, got the skills. He was another fantastic amateur as well, Artur Beterbiev. But it's just his power, his relentlessness that really makes me enjoy watching him. I remember when he fought Usyk, man. That was a pick and fight going in. Usyk was, you know, he was the business at light heavyweight. People were unsure as to who would win that, but Artur Beterbiev destroyed him, absolutely destroyed Usyk, and Usyk never came back. He never returned to the ring after that. He has beaten the likes of Marcus Brown. Do you know what I mean? That was a good win. I thought Marcus Brown, he's got a lot of athletic ability. He's a good fighter. But Artur Beterbiev has been the number 1 ranked light heavyweight, for me anyway, for a good couple of years now. His only issue is that he's not been as active either. He's got a win over Callum Johnson. He was actually put down in that fight, but then he went on to knock him out in the 4th round. Yeah, Beterbiev, fantastic amateur record. He's just a monster in the ring as well. That's just the best way to describe him. He's just an absolute monster, man. You saw, like, the Marcus Brown fight, the cuts that he had in that fight. Do you know what I mean? The cuts that he actually suffered, and the way how he fought through it and just battered Marcus Brown, man, stopped him in the 9th round. It was just, yeah, he is, for me, without doubt, the number 1 light heavyweight in the world. I think he's going to prove that over Joe Smith Jr. And I think that, you know, if he was to fight Bivol, it is a pick and fight. But I would still favor Beterbiev, man, because I just got that. I just think that he's, you know, we look at him for his punching power, but he brings more than that. He brings relentlessness. He's got ability. And yeah, I have him at number 9 for me, Artur Beterbiev. I just think that, you know, he's got a lot of ability, and he has a relentlessness to him, and he's strong, he's tough, he can do it all. So I've got Artur Beterbiev there. But like I said, the only thing for me with Beterbiev is that I'd just like to see him active a bit more. He's going to fight this year, but he fought twice last year. Didn't fight in 2020. So yeah, I'd like to see him in the ring a bit more. But for me, for sure, I've got Artur Beterbiev as number 9 on my pound for pound list. I definitely feel like he deserves to be in the mix. He probably is in the lower half of a lot of people's pound for pound list, but yeah, I've got Artur Beterbiev there at number 9. Now, let's go on to number 8 on my pound for pound list. This guy here, he's on many people. He should be on everyone's pound for pound list for sure. But let's go to number 8 here. Juan Francisco Estrada. Quality fighter, man. He's a two-weight world champion. Where do I start? Two-weight world champion. This guy is. He was the beneficiary of a decision win over my boy Chocolatito. I have to say, I thought Chocolatito did enough to win that fight. But listen, man, we can't take away this guy's credentials, man. Juan Francisco Estrada, like I said, he's a two-weight world champion. He holds the ring belt. He's been, he's challenged. He's moved up the weight. He's a great boxer puncher. Started boxing at a young age. Defeated Roman Gonzalez, that fight there. And those two there, when they did have that fight, even though I thought that Gonzalez did enough to win, it was a fantastic fight. He also beat Sarissa Quetzal, Rungvisai. That was a good win. Carlos Quadras. So he does have the resume. He is a fantastic fighter to watch. He has been in the game for a long time. He definitely does deserve our respect. And I'd have him at number 8 on my pound for pound list. He could fall out though. He could be in danger of falling out, Juan Francisco Estrada, due to the fact that, I want to see a bit more. This match that he's got, I don't know who he's got fight coming up. He was supposed to fight Gonzalez again in the rematch. That, of course, never happened. But yeah, I just think that I want to see a bit, because I wasn't impressed with that in terms of him getting the decision. I thought that Gonzalez definitely won that fight, but I will keep him on my list for now anyway. I do think that he deserves to stay on there. But I would say that, he could be in danger of dropping out when I look at some of the other guys that are coming through, Juan Francisco Estrada. But he definitely deserves to be in there for now. So he is my number 8 on the pound for pound list, Juan Francisco Estrada. Let's go to number 7 on my pound for pound list. We'll get him up in here right now. Again, let me share my screen so you guys can see. Number 7 in my pound for pound list. Here he is right here, Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo as number 7 in my pound for pound list, man. Undisputed light middleweight champion. Do you know what I mean? Fantastic fighter. Tremendous power. Do you know what I mean? 154 is a dangerous division. It's got a lot of killers in there, and he's gone for them all. Well, he hasn't got. Well, I'd say that there are still a couple of fights out there for him. You've got Fundora, you've got Tim Tszyu out there. But let's be real, man. Charlo is cleaned out that division now in terms of like defeating the top guys up there. Brian Castano, he took him on, defeated him. Tony Harrison, I thought he did enough to win the first fight. I thought he was very unlucky not to get the win in that. Took the rematch with him, stopped him. Look what he did to Erickson Lubin. Charlo has been up there against Jackson as well. Charlo has been, he's earned his stripes at 154, man. It's one of those divisions where there are a lot of tough guys there, but it's not the most popular weight class, you know what I mean, in terms of like superstardom. There's not a lot of standout household names in that division, but it is a tough division. And Charlo has reached the pinnacle of it, and he's undisputed. Do you know what I mean? He's the first 154-pound undisputed champion that we've had, and of the 4-belt era. And he's I also enjoy watching him, man, in terms of, he can have a bit of power and he can be a bit power hungry, but he does have ability as well. I think Derek James has done a good job with him. You see him and Spence in the gym there training alongside each other. You just love to be in that gym and actually just see them two at work for sure. But yeah, I've got Charlie there as my number 7, man. I think that he has potential to go further if he does move up. Like I said, there are a couple of fights left in 154 for him, really, but no one would begrudge him moving up right now, considering that he is, and he has won all the belts. There's not going to be much more for him to do at that weight, and he might not be motivated to go against Fundora or Tim Tszyu. He might want to see what he can do at 160, because let's be real, 160 is kind of, it's there, but it's just a disappointed division in terms of like, we have a unified champion now in Triple G, but we know that Triple G is out of his prime. We know he's on the way out. The other guys, you've got Eubank Jr. calling out a retired 35-year-old in Kell Brook who weighs 2 weight divisions below him. Like who else is out there at middleweight? Andre's going to be moving up, I believe. You've got Munguia there. That division is there for Charlo to actually go in and make some waves. There's room for him in that division to go and make a splash, especially if his brother moves up. So yeah, I could see Jermell Charlo doing that, maybe moving up the weights to 160 and looking to take over that division. That would be some good motivation for him. But anyway, let's move on. We're going to go to number 6 here on my pound for pound list. Let me bring him up for you guys to see. Number 6 on my pound for pound list, I've got Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, number 6. He is the undisputed 140-pound champion, but one of the belts has been taken away. He's been stripped now. The WBA belt, he's been stripped from that because he's not going to make a defense of the belt. However, I'm hearing that he's looking to stay at 140 pounds. But I'm also hearing that he's not going to be giving Jack Catterall a rematch. So I don't know what's going on there. But I had the impression that Josh Taylor was moving up. He looks huge at the weight, 140 pounds. But listen, despite what happened in that Jack Catterall fight, and look, I know a lot of you guys are going to say the same. Like we all saw what happened in that fight. Many of us believe that Josh Taylor lost it. For me, he was dropped. He just wasn't himself that night. Fighters can have an off night. And for me, I thought Jack Catterall definitely did enough to win it. And I was like, yeah, many of you guys, it was a robbery. It was actually a robbery. But listen, you can't fault what Josh Taylor has done before that. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't covered himself in glory following that fight against Jack Catterall. But, you know, before that fight with Jack Catterall, this guy, he cleaned out the 140-pound division. He won the World Boxing Super Series. He became undisputed. His record over time was phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Taking on nothing but unbeaten fighters and beating them. Do you know what I mean? The Jack Catterall fight, yeah, we can say what we want about that one. But look at the resume before that. Look at some of the guys that Josh Taylor has fought before that, man. The Regis Prograis fight, for example, that was a huge fight in the for the 140-pound division. That was the final of the World Boxing Super Series as well. Josh Taylor won that. It was a close fight. It was a good fight, but you know, it definitely wasn't nothing like a robbery or nothing like that. It could have gone either way. Josh Taylor got the decision, and I thought he deserved it, to be fair. Jose Ramirez beating him. Baranchik, you know, beat him in a tough fight. Victor Postal beat him at the time when he beat Ahara Davis, going further back in his career. Not everyone was picking Josh Taylor to win that. I know that might seem like a stretch now, but at the time, there were people picking Ahara Davis to win that. You saw what Josh Taylor did to him. So listen, man, although the Jack Catterall fight does have a little asterisk by it, and it may have pushed Taylor down some of the rankings for some people, he's still my number 6. Do you know what I mean? I've got him there just for the fact that he was undisputed at 140 pounds. And, you know, he's the amount of unbeaten fighters that he's taken on and beaten. We got to still give him his flowers for that, man. And we'll see. Hopefully there is a rematch with Jack Catterall down the line. And, you know, we'll go from there as regards to Josh Taylor. But he still makes my pound for pound list. And he's at number 6 for me. So let's move on to number 5 on the pound for pound list, the top 5. You know, the top 5 on the pound for pound list for anyone is, you know, it's the top 5 is always going to be like, I don't think it's going to always be reshuffled with regards to like who's got who where. But again, this is where it gets a bit techie in terms of like where you have your order, because maybe people will have the same top 5, but it's all about the order at the end of the day. My order looks like this. We'll start off with number 5. Let's get him up here. Errol the Truth Spence Jr., man. I've got him at number 5. Unified welterweight champion. Got 3 of the 4 belts. We're waiting for that fight against Terence Crawford. Errol Spence, man. What can I say? One of my favorite fighters today. I'm not afraid to say it. I love watching the guy fight. When he came over to England and he fought Kell Brook, you guys that have already heard me on the podcast, you would have known already. I traveled to that fight. I went up to Sheffield to watch it. Secretly rooting for Errol Spence, even though it was in Kell Brook's territory, and I'm a fan of Kell Brook for sure. I knew that we were having something special when he came over. Not a lot of people knew at the time. A lot of people were like not convinced and wasn't sure how far he could go. But from what I had seen, I just knew that this guy was the goods, man. And I knew that this was a bad fight for Kell Brook. But I wanted to see Spence up close. And being there, yeah, it was a fantastic fight, fantastic win for Spence at the time. Kell Brook was still a force, even though he had come off the Triple G defeat. You know, he was still a good fighter, man. He still had the IBF belt. Errol Spence came over here, ripped the title away from him, stopping Kell Brook in his own backyard. That was impressive for me. Since then, he's gone on to pick up the remaining welterweight belts. He's defeated the likes of Sean Porter. He defeated Ugas, very impressive. Defeated Danny Garcia, dominated him. his resume speaks for itself. His talent and ability, great fundamentals. One of the best body punchers in the game today, Errol Spence is for me. And he puts his punches together well. Doesn't always have the best defense. He can get caught at times. But listen, he was actually wobbled by Ugas. But how many times have you really seen Spence in trouble? Not many. The guy comes to fight. His activity, his work rate, his body attack. The guy is a phenomenal fighter, man. And you know what fight we're all looking forward to, what fight we want to see is a fantastic fight. And I think that whether you have Crawford above Spence in your pound for pound rankings or not, I'm just letting you guys know that I obviously do. But in terms of what he's done at welterweight, and what he's built up at welterweight, the fighters that he's fought, I'd have him, he's got to be ranked number one in terms of like at welterweight, but that's only based on what he's done at welterweight. Crawford, the reason why he's going to be higher than Spence is because what he's done at the previous weights as well. He's a multi-weight world champion. So at welterweight, though, in the body of work and who has beaten who, Errol Spence has got the better body of work at welterweight, which is why he would be my number one at welterweight for now until they fight. However, in the pound for pound rankings, I would have Crawford above him, but it's still a great fight. And I know that might not make sense to some people. Hopefully I have, made that clear. But yeah, I've got Errol Spence there as my number 5, man, on my pound for pound rankings. Let's hope that fight with Crawford takes place soon, because that is the fight that we all want to see. Let's go on to number 4 anyway on my pound for pound list. This guy right here, man, it really needs no explanation. Now at Inoue, fantastic fighter again. Again, this guy is a multi-weight world champion. He's also, won the World Boxing Super Series. Phenomenal. I just love watching it. His technique, his ability, his punching power. One of the most fearsome punchers in the game today, I would say. But he's also not reliant on his power, like where he gets wild with it. His punching power comes with precision. It's behind the jab. It's a phenomenal technique that he's got. And he's looked unbeatable, really. The only fight really where he did look a bit beatable was against Nonito Donaire, which is why he's probably not higher in this list, because Donaire, many of us thought at the time of that fight that, Inoue would run through him, let's be honest. However, that fight was a lot harder than anticipated. And he almost looked a bit human in that fight, Inoue did, because Donaire probably wasn't so, even though he's a quality fighter himself, we know how good he is. He's going to go down in the Hall of Fame and a great fighter. But at the time when them two were scheduled to fight, Donaire he's not the same fighter as he was back in the day. And he was able to trouble Inoue enough, to really work him. So that's probably why he's not higher on my list. But, the body of work before that, he did win that fight, by the way, of course. But, the body of work before that, what Inoue's done, like I said, moved up the weights, clean out, just knocking guys out. But it's not just with recklessness. It comes with precision, technique. And like I said, that sort of like who looks unbeatable sort of thing, that sort of aura to them. Inoue has got that for me, man. He looks brilliant in the ring. So yeah, I've got him at number 4 on my pound for pound list. Now at Inoue, fantastic fighter to watch. Hopefully we get to see more. I mean, it's good to see that he's been fighting over here in the States. But yeah, the more we see of him, the more I'm impressed. I'm looking forward to him fighting Nonito Donaire again. I think that he will underline, it'll be a more conclusive victory for him for sure when they do fight. But yeah, I've got now Inoue as my number 4. Let's move on to my number 3, because I'm conscious that this video is actually, I don't know how long this video is, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Canelo Alvarez, my number 3. Canelo Alvarez was obviously many people's number 1 in their pound for pound list. That's obviously changed since the Bivol fight. He slid down the rankings a little bit for me. It was a conclusive defeat. Canelo Alvarez was beaten 9 rounds to 3 for me on my scorecard. That's not what the official scorecard said, but many of us that watched that fight saw Canelo Alvarez was just completely, he was outfought. He was outfought as well. He was just beaten by the better man on the night. However, we can't, he did move up in weight to fight Dmitry Bivol. He has campaigned at light heavyweight before, so I can't think we put it down to size too much. But what Canelo Alvarez has done, he's clean. He's still the undisputed champion at super middleweight. We've got to give him his flowers for that. You look at some of the names that he's beaten over his career. I mean, it really doesn't really require any explanation. Knocked out Kovalev. Going through it, he's beaten like Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Callum Smith. Yeah, we know all of those guys he's beaten. Going back there, even like the Triple G fight, he lost the first one in my opinion, but he got the decision. The second one that he won, that white fight there, was, I thought that was a more conclusive Canelo win. The first fight with Triple G was a draw, should I say? I don't know if I said Canelo won that, but that was a draw, obviously. Then you look at some of the other names that he's beaten, in the past. Some of them have been contentious decisions. The one with Lara, for example, but he's a Canelo Alvarez, man. There's no denying his talent, his ability, his commitment as well is something that I love to see. The guy's always in the gym. He's always in shape. He leads by example. A lot of these guys look up to him, man, in terms of what he's achieved. He's a superstar in the sport. And although he did lose to Bivol, I would still have him as my number 3. I'd still have him up there. If he was to rematch Bivol and lose again, then yeah, he will slide down the rankings pretty fast. But for now, I'll keep him at number 3. That might be generous to somebody like Laurie. I'm interested to get his opinion on that. But for me, yeah, he'll be my number 3 at the moment, Canelo Alvarez. But it'll be interesting to see what he does next, man, because if he does take that rematch with Bivol and he loses again, then there is the threat that he will slide down the list even more. But yeah, I've got him as my number 3 right now. Let's go on to my number 2 on my pound for pound list. Almost there, guys. Terence Bud Crawford. This guy, man, like I said, earlier in the video, I said that, I like watching guys who just look the most unbeatable. Like that is one of my criteria on my pound for pound list. And Crawford, this guy is phenomenal to watch in the ring. He can switch hit, he can box, he can punch, he can do it all, man. He's just a phenomenal fighter to watch in the ring. He's got that dog in him as well. He's got that bite. When he senses that you're in trouble, he's coming for you. He's really coming for you. And he's a deadly finisher. One of the best finishers in the game today, I'd say. If he's got you got to look at it like this. If you had a fighter that was hurt, like you're playing a game, like, I don't know, Street Fighter or something like that, and you're about to finish someone. Like, if you were to pick an active fighter, man, like to finish someone in the ring, Crawford has got to be high up there as one of the fighters you would turn to finish somebody off. Because when he gets you in trouble, he gets you out of there. Look at his record at welterweight, man. He's moved up to welterweight. He's knocked everybody out at welterweight. Do you know what I mean? He stopped everyone. Some people might look at the resume and say, oh, yeah, but he hasn't fought this. Listen, he stopped Sean Porter, man. He stopped him. Obviously stopped Kell Brook. Kell Brook was out of his prime, but he's knocking these guys out, man. Do you know what I mean? And he's got tremendous power to go with his switch hitting ability. He's got good skills as well. He can get hit. He can get drawn into a fight. That's why this bout here with Errol Spence is going to be so interesting, man, because it's 2 high-level quality fighters going at it. And Spencer's got dog in him as well. Do you know what I mean? He likes to work the body. He's got a lot of activity. Crawford, like I said, he can get hit. Both of them can get hit. It's just a fantastic fight. I don't need to really say more about it, but I've got Crawford as my number 2. Former undisputed champion at 140 pounds before Josh Taylor, of course. Was a champion before that as well. He started off his career at lightweight, moved up the weights. He's dominating the weight classes. He looks dominant in the ring. Hasn't really come close to losing. I know that fight against the Mean Machine, some of us, he did get dropped. That probably should have been scored as a knockdown. But Crawford is dominating these guys. He's saying, if I can beat you this way, I can do it that way. If you want to box me, we can box. If you want to fight, we can fight. And he's just got it all for me, man. He's just a phenomenal talent, a phenomenal fighter. I just wish I saw him in the ring more. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's probably what's hurt him from being number 1, because, he fought once last year. He fought once the year before that. He was active a bit more before then, but I'd just like to see him in the ring a bit more, even between his last fight and now. What is it? We're in May. He fought Porter in November, I believe. So yeah, it's just that's the thing. But it is, he did go through that issue with Top Rank. That issue should be, he's that's obviously resolved now with him leaving Top Rank. I'm hearing that he's going to be taking up a 2-fight deal with the PBC, and that Spence fight is going to happen next. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, I've got Crawford as my number 2, man. If you were to have him at number 1, I wouldn't say too much about it. Of course, I know Laurie has Crawford at number 1, but I don't think there's too much of an argument with really number 1 and number 2. If you've got Crawford at number 2, that's fine. But for me, I think it's quite obvious who my pound for pound number 1 is. We'll get him up here. Alexander Usyk. It's not much more needs to be said, man. This guy, He's the unified champion at heavyweight, former undisputed champion at cruiserweight, won the World Boxing Series at cruiserweight as well. Road warrior. Everyone he's fighting them on their patch. He's fighting them on their turf, and he's beating them. Do you know what I mean? AJ, you saw what it was like, basically a homecoming for him, not far away from where he actually lives and resides, or where he was born, Watford. This fight was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Usyk just came over, man, dominated him. Not that, of course, he's not the natural heavyweight. He's moved up in weight, looked a lot smaller than AJ. But listen, he dominated him, dominated AJ in that fight, almost stopped him. And look what AJ's done in his career at heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Former two-time world champion. Usyk went in there, dominated him, nearly stopped him. Them two are looking like they're going to have a rematch in July. Not been confirmed yet, but it's looking like it's going to be July 23rd in the Middle East. I'd pick Usyk to beat him again. Usyk he's fought at heavyweight before that. He didn't look very impressive up until that AJ fight. But they were, there was no doubt about him winning against Chisora, for example, and then Witherspoon. He beat him as well. Cruiserweight, you just look at the names that this guy's beaten, man. Obviously, he knocked out Tony Bellew. That was up north. That was in Manchester, I believe. Again, traveling to fight him. Defeated Marius Bradus. He's the #1 cruiserweight in the world right now. Usyk beat him. We saw what he did in the World Boxing Super Series final. Listen, he's a fantastic fighter, man. The ability, the skills, fantastic southpaw. He had a great amateur career as well. Phenomenal fighter, Usyk. The only fight that really pushed him to his limits, I'd say, was the Bradus one. That was the only one really where I thought, yeah, okay, Bradus did enough here to make it an argument for sure. But in his other fights, man, he's been dominant, and he's been dominating these guys, man, and he just looks phenomenal. He looks phenomenal, and he's my #1 pound for pound right now. I don't think many people can really argue that in terms of him or Crawford being 1 and 2, or at least Usyk being #1. I don't think many people can really say, "Oh, how have you got Usyk as your #1?" Like, I don't think anyone can really say that, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I've got Alexander Usyk as my #1, man. So just to recap on my pound for pound list, let me get it up here so you guys can see my actual pound for pound list. Bear with, let me get this picture up so you guys can see it. From 10 to 1. That is my current pound for pound list there. Bivol at number 10, Beterbiev at number 9, Estrada at number 8, Charlo at number 7, Taylor at number 6, Spence 5, Inoue 4, Canelo 3, Crawford 2, Usyk 1. That's my pound for pound top 10. And like I said, guys, this is just my pound for pound list. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just my pound for pound list and just how I look at it. Not everybody's going to agree with me. Some people are going to say, "Oh, how have you got this guy over him?" That's fine. It's okay. That's what pound for pound lists are all about at the end of the day. But I want to see what you guys' pound for pound lists are. Some people have been showing me theirs on Twitter, which has been good to see. But yeah, let me know what yours are looking like. Honorable mentions, you've got the likes of Shakur Stevenson, who I believe is definitely going to make a way soon. I nearly put him in there. I think that he's a phenomenal fighter. He's the best out of all the young prospects for me. I think that he could be up there. If not, you could make an argument for him being in there. You've got the likes of Devin Haney, George Kambosos. If whoever wins that fight between them two, if Kambosos was to win, you could put an argument for putting him in there. Lomachenko, he's still floating around, but I still need to see a bit more from him to get in there over these guys right now. Obviously, in terms of ability, if we're going just off pure talent and ability, then of course Lomachenko will be in there. But for now, I have to put those guys ahead of him. Then you've got the likes of Tank Davis again. He's got the ability, but yeah, I just can't put him in there based on his resume at the moment. But my pound for pound top 10 looks like that. So yeah, I know it might be trash to some people, but that's my pound for pound top 10, guys. So let me know what yours is. Drop it in the comment section below, man. I'll be curious to see how you guys have yours. And yeah, like I said, a few of my videos now are going to be looking like this, where I'm just going to be doing them via StreamYard. But like I said, my job at the moment, man, is just like, it's on top. It's a lot. So at least I'm getting the videos out somehow. So we'll just do this for now, see how it goes. Let me know your feedback on it. And yeah, I'll try and pump out a few more videos as well while I'm on the go. But let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below anyway, guys. Check out the podcast. We're not doing it on Thursday this week. We did it already on Monday. So if you guys haven't watched that, check it out. It's already been uploaded to YouTube. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.